Welcome, brothers and sisters. Before we dive in today, let me ask you something deep. What if the only thing standing between your dream and its success is your trust in God? In a world where self-reliance is glorified, Proverbs 16:3 tells us something radically different, that total trust in God is the real secret to success. Today's message is one you don't want to miss. Before you do anything, put your trust totally in God and not in yourself. Then every plan you make will succeed. Success is not born from hustle alone. It's not about having the best connections, the perfect strategy, or the most flawless execution. According to Proverbs 16:3, it begins with surrender. It begins with laying every ambition, every vision, every desire at the feet of God and saying, "Lord, not my will, but yours be done." This verse isn't just advice, it's divine instruction. The kind that reorders your priorities and gives your plans heavenly backing. So many chase success, but very few seek God first. That's why we often see people exhausted, frustrated, and defeated even when they're doing everything right. But Scripture flips the script. It says, before you do anything, not after, not during, but before. This one word holds the power to shift your destiny. When God is involved at the beginning, He walks with you through the middle and guarantees the end. Even Jesus trusted the Father before making decisions. Before choosing the 12 disciples, He spent all night in prayer. If the Son of God consulted the Father before acting, how much more should we? When we do things in our own strength, we get what we can do. But when we do them in God's strength, we get what He can do. Noah didn't know what rain was. There had never been a flood. Yet God gave him instructions to build an ark long before one cloud appeared. That's a picture of trust before action. He obeyed something that looked foolish to the world, but because he committed the plan to God, it survived the flood and saved generations. We live in a world that tells us, follow your heart. But Proverbs warns that the heart is deceitful. God's instruction is different. He says, follow me. If your heart is not aligned with Him, it will lead you to temporary pleasure, but permanent regret. But if you surrender your plans, dreams, and future to God, He'll give you desires that are pure, timely, and prosperous. We're not called to be independent from God. In fact, independence from Him is the fastest route to disappointment. This verse is not just about trust. It's about total trust. Trust that says, even if I don't see the full picture, I'll still step forward because God is leading me. That kind of faith invites divine order, divine timing, and divine outcomes. It takes your hands off the wheel and lets God steer. Paul said in 2 Corinthians 3:5, our confidence comes from God. He knew that his credentials, wisdom, and effort were not enough. His success in ministry came because he relied on divine power. That's our model. When you plan with God, you move in grace, not just grit. Trusting God before planning is not weakness, it's wisdom. You can't see the future, but He declares the end from the beginning. You can't predict outcomes, but He speaks and it is so. That's why Psalm 37:5 says, commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will do it. Did you catch that? He doesn't say you will do it. He says He will. When Joshua stood before the walls of Jericho, the plan made no military sense. Walk in silence for 6 days, then shout. But Joshua didn't question. He trusted. And because he followed God's plan instead of making his own, those walls fell flat. Trust preceded triumph. Surrender made room for supernatural strategy. Are you tired of striving? Are your efforts draining you? Matthew 11:28 gives us a better way. Come to me, all who are weary, and I will give you rest. Trust leads to rest. Not laziness, but supernatural peace in the process. When you place the weight of the outcome in God's hands, you finally breathe again. You can have the best blueprint, but if God isn't in it, it will fall apart under pressure. Many of us ask God to bless what we've already started. But what if success lies in asking Him before we even begin? When your first instinct is prayer, you align your vision with heaven's agenda. That's when your plans go from temporary pursuits to eternal impact. Planning without prayer is like planting without watering. You can't expect growth from seeds that haven't been surrendered. God's plans carry His breath, His Spirit. And when He breathes on your vision, even dry bones can come to life. That's what He told Ezekiel. The valley looked hopeless until trust met obedience. Your plans may be good, but if they're not God-led, they'll collapse under pressure. Only what's rooted in Him will stand the shaking. Hebrews 12:27 says God shakes everything that can be shaken so that only what is unshakable remains. When you trust God first, you're building something eternal, something unshakable. Before a sculptor chisels stone, he sees the finished form in his mind. But even the best sculptor must choose the right foundation. Likewise, God says in Proverbs 16:3, before you do anything, not after. That means you don't wait to involve God once the pressure hits. You invite Him in at the blueprint level. If your dream hasn't been soaked in prayer, you're building on sand, not rock. Some people think trusting God means doing nothing. But trust is not passive. Trust is obedience in action. It means you're still moving, still working, still planning, but all under His guidance. You're not idle. You're intentional. You're not in panic. You're in peace because you've handed the pressure of outcomes to the one who holds eternity. Trust makes space for divine interruptions. Philip was preaching in Acts 8 when God told him to leave the crowd for one man on a desert road. He didn't argue, he obeyed. That one act led to the Ethiopian eunuch's salvation and opened a door for the gospel to reach Africa. You don't know what your surrender will unlock. Too many of us trust our feelings over our Father. But your emotions are not your GPS. Your faith must lead. The disciples in Luke 5 fished all night and caught nothing. Then Jesus said, "Let down your nets." They could have said, "We've tried." Instead, Peter said, "At your word we will." That one moment of trust led to overflow. Not because the lake changed, but because their faith shifted. Trust is not an emotion, it's a decision. Feelings fluctuate, but faith must be fixed. When you commit your plans to God, you're saying, I choose to believe your way is better than mine, even if I don't understand it yet. Romans 8:28 affirms this kind of faith. All things work together for good to those who love God, who are called according to His purpose. But that good only comes when the plan is aligned with His purpose. God doesn't bless arrogance, He blesses alignment. Every plan that begins with God is this you is a plan that carries weight in heaven. The moment you involve Him, you move from survival mode into supernatural flow. Trust is the riverbed for His provision. Let today be the day you stop leaning on your own understanding. Let today be the moment you surrender your blueprint and take up God's blueprint. Because when God builds the house, it will not fall. When He authors the story, it will not fail. Trust Him before you do anything and watch your plans succeed, not just for a season, but for a lifetime. Don't just write vision boards, write prayer journals. Don't just chase goals, chase God. Let Him birth the plan, lead the process, and receive the glory. Because when you trust Him before you build, you're not just building for now, you're building for eternity. And when God is the architect, success is inevitable. This should be your daily prayer, not just words, but a mindset you wake up with and carry through every decision. Lord, I place every dream, every plan, and every step into your hands. Lead me with your wisdom, align me with your will, and remind me that true success begins with surrender. I choose to trust you completely because I know that when you're in control, nothing can fail. Brothers and sisters, your success is not up to chance. It's up to your trust. So before you do anything else today, pause and give it all to God. Let Him lead and watch your plans unfold in ways you never imagined. If this message blessed you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Spirit-filled encouragement. Stay faithful, stay surrendered, and always trust God.